Greetings, fellow men. Servus Männer. This is Red Pill Germany again, and I bring good news from our southern neighbor Austria. Austria has a new government now. The coalition talks between Sebastian Kurz from the ÖVP and Heinz-Christian from the FPÖ have been completed successfully, and the new government can proceed to work now. All this, of course, while Germany, my homeland, still doesn't have a functioning government, and Angela Merkel and the SPD are still struggling to form another big coalition in Germany. Now, during this talk, I want to outline the basic points of the coalition program in Austria. So, in other words, what is the spirit of the new coalition in Vienna, and what will they be focusing on in the coming years. Now, one of the bigger points is that they want to be a pro-European coalition. That means they do not plan to leave the European Union like the UK, but rather they want to find alliances within the EU to change the current destructive course that the EU technocrats and globalists have actually taken. I think this is a wise decision, and it will not only help Austria, it will help everybody on the European continent. They also announced that they want to focus on fighting political Mohammedanism. For example, they want to give the citizenship only to people who have integrated successfully and not to everybody like it is the norm until today. They also want to close down Mohammedanist kindergartens and Mohammedanist private schools if they do not comply with the Austrian government's prerequisites. They want to implement harsher punishment for violent crimes, especially against women and children, like we have seen them in the past from the newly arrived guests. Clubs that are funded by religious groups from other countries should all be shut down. When it comes to migration policy, the paper states that people who claim to be persecuted in their home countries but still travel there on vacation should lose their status as a protected group here. People who come here in order to claim asylum should not get cash anymore, only what they need to live, no more cash. Doctor-patient confidentiality can be revoked if necessary. The children of these newly arrived guests should learn German in special classrooms, and the general school system should not be abused to teach German to those people, so that the children of the indigenous population get the education that their parents paid for. Also, the list of the countries that are considered to be safe will get larger. This is a very important necessary step, because up until now very safe countries are on that list, which allows shady characters out of those countries to just come to Europe and claim welfare here by claiming that they are somehow persecuted in their home countries, which is of course a lie. This is one of the reasons why the not so very best of those countries all of a sudden go to Europe. We are basically attracting the bottom feeders of those societies to come to Europe and go on welfare. Not only are we not getting the smartest and the best, we don't even get the average from those countries, because it is a self-selected group that wants welfare. Another very important measure is that the newly arrived people have to turn over their cell phones to the authorities, so that social media profiles and the route by which they came here can be checked. When it comes to taxes and tax policy, they say that they want to tax labor less. That means that the working people will have more after taxes. They also want to tax families much less, so they want to support families and children, which is, in our current political climate and in light of our general political system, a good decision. They also set the target that the overall percentage of money that households should have to give to the government will be 40%. Now it's like 43%. Now they say that they want to realize all this by spending overall less money. I'm very skeptical if they can actually do that, but at least they have the right idea. At least they set that as a goal and expose themselves to the danger that in case they don't deliver, they will lose political prestige and popularity as a result. So overall, in fiscal terms, the coalition contract can be summarized as taxing the working people, the productive people less, and on the other hand, the government has to spend less money. That translates into shrinking the government and not making new taxes. That is a very noble goal, and I hope, even though I'm skeptical because it's always hard to do in a democracy where politicians want to win elections, I hope that they can actually get this done. Now, these were the cold hard facts so far, but what is far more important, in my humble opinion, is the symbolism behind all this. Kurz and Strache selected the place where they present this new coalition contract very carefully. They choose the Kahlenberg. It was this hill where the battle at the Kahlenberg took place in 1683, and it was there where House Habsburg, with the help of the Polish king, beat the Ottoman forces and saved Vienna. They broke the siege of Vienna in 1683 with a combined European army, which marked the beginning of the Great Turkish Wars. So you might all have heard of the glorious ride of the winged hussars from Poland. Yeah, it was this hill. And it was also this battle where the young Oberstleutnant Prince Eugen von Savoyen received his baptism of fire. He should later rise to become the greatest military genius and one of the most influential people of all Europe. Now, this symbolism, this connection to our history, is something that is really missing in European politics at the moment. The Kahlenberg, or the Leopoldsberg as it is called today, is clearly a symbolic venue for such a declaration. And of course, political commentators see that and they pick up on that. The message is loud and clear. Now, what does that mean for Germany, for example? Now, if Austria is becoming more strict, and if it makes the milk sour for these newly arrived people, so to speak, even more people will come into Germany. And it is very clear at the moment, because in the negotiations where Merkel and her gang try to bully other countries to accept quotas for the distribution of migrants among all the European countries, she is failing with that. The Visegrad Alliance, for example, will never accept that. And in the short term, or with short-term thinking, you could say as a German, oh, this is horrible, means more of these people stay in our country or will move towards Germany now. But I say this is a good thing. It increases the pressure, while Angela Merkel is already not so steady in her seat right now in Germany. It makes it much more likely that people in Germany will change their mind and that they will vote differently in the future in state elections, but also should there be a new election, they will want to get rid of Merkel even more right now. Average citizens and workers will think twice before voting for Merkel again when they see that other countries such as Austria, another German-speaking country even, they can do this too, and it doesn't mean the end of the world. These are just common sense policies that all civilized countries should actually enact. And many countries around the globe actually have rules like that in place. This is nothing crazy. And once we see that Austria passes these new laws and Austria is changing its policy and no World War III starts, then guess what? Germans will think, well, we can do it too then. So this is actually something that should give all German patriots some hope. It will further accelerate the changes that we are seeing already. So I said in the beginning of the video that instead of leaving the EU, he seeks alliances, and here the Kahlenberg definitely is symbolic for that too. It was with the help of the Polish king that the Habsburgs could drive out the Turks. The Poles are of course the biggest country in the V4 group, and instead of condemning them and suing them in European courts for their policies, we should embrace them, we should accept them as our neighbors, and we should forge alliances with them to protect Europe. We were successful in doing that back then, and guess what? We can do it again. So it should not be forgotten that in the Battle of the Kahlenberg there were also some Bavarians fighting actually. Alright, so I just wanted to give you guys that update. I know how little news you receive from Central Europe during these dark days, and I know that you must all be busy with kindergarten drama in the septic community. So while Dunning-Kruger kid is still looking for his missing genes, history is written in Vienna by other people. I hope you had a great weekend and you get a good start into the next week, the week before Christmas. Catch you guys again later. Servus, Kameraden.